What's up, everybody, and today we're taking a look at Studio Series Dark of the Moon Hatchet. But first, before we go into the figure itself, let's take a look at the packaging. So, here we got the standard, or what will now not be the standard packaging for the Transformers Studio Series line. Unfortunately, gotta say goodbye to this packaging because they're gonna be dishing out some absolutely horrific packaging now. But this might be the last of the standard packaging, but you know, look at the Suburban SUV on the front there. Bunch of logos and stuff for the movie and whatnot. Gotta look at what is supposed to be Hatchet on the back here, or on the side. But it's really Crowbar's head on the Hatchet body, it looks like, I think. Gotta look at the figure right here on the back and whatnot. And there he is, which actually I'm pretty sure that is just straight up Crowbar. Yeah, a bit strange, but nothing too much on the top, nothing really on the bottom, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the box. And what is customary with every Studio Series figure is you get a backdrop, which is pretty cool. Even though I probably will not be using it, it is still cool that you do get these to basically, you know, kind of put your figure in a bit of, you know, scenery. So you do get this backdrop, and of course it is of the highway chase scene, which is done pretty well. I think it's a pretty great rendition of the highway chase scene, at least in my opinion, and works out pretty well. I was thinking about using some of these backgrounds maybe for some of the pictures that I do on my Insta. If you're not followed to the Insta, definitely go follow it. I post a lot of my action figure pictures on there of every figure that I review. But yeah, I don't know, this backdrop, it's just a very strange angle. But yeah, so that's pretty much all the packaging now. So, getting into the figure here, just going over details quick, because we will be giving him a better paint job. Yeah, it's kind of strange looking, and I just realized his tail came off. This figure has some good, has some bad. Low-key kind of mid, but he's kind of just a team filler type of figure. Pretty much, you're going to want to have him just in this position most of the time, because this is, you know, movie accurate. This figure does have some problems, and it's a mold that we've pretty much seen before. But, you know, he is pretty much just molded in all this kind of gray plastic with, you know, little bits of paint apps here and there. And, of course, that tail just keeps coming off. That's a big problem with this figure. But as you can see, detailed pretty decently. But he could use a little bit of paint. So we will get him painted up and let's just get him painted up. And there he is, all painted up. I didn't really do much to him because he didn't really need a lot, to be honest, which is very rare nowadays for Transformers figures. Because pretty much for the most part, he was painted pretty well. And well, I kept looking and looking for reference photos, and a lot of the reference photos that I found, he was pretty much just looked like this. There was really nothing for me to really do. There are some things I could probably do to the vehicle mode to match with my crankcase, which I'll show in the comparison, but I will do those later, because that's really, honestly, nothing really too crazy. Just painting the mirrors. But here he is. I pretty much just gave him a whole dry brush all the way around. Painted his dreads in gold there to be movie accurate. Yeah, just pretty much gave him a dry brush all the way around, and that was it. You know, done deal, because pretty much he already is this color in the movie. Maybe with just like a dry brush look, and that piece just keeps falling off. I kind of don't like this figure, if you can tell. I don't hate it as much as I did the Rise of the Beast Pablo figure. Or if you want to say Wheeljack, you could say Wheeljack, but that's Pablo. But, you know, still, there are annoyances with this figure that really do, honestly, piss me off. Besides looking like a skinwalker, he's pretty cool looking now that I got him all painted up with the dry brush and everything. Really picked out some of the detail that's kind of sorely missed just due to being little to no paint. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much him all together and painted up. Nothing too crazy, nothing too special, because I really didn't do a whole lot, and he really did not need a whole lot. So, does he have any accessories? Yeah, kind of, if you want to call it one. Now, his only accessory is this right here. I want you guys to take a guess what you think this is. Is it a sword? I had him on him when I was taking a look at him, at the details on this figure. Take a guess. What is this? A sword? A whip? Has a handle? This is supposed to be his tail. And what's ridiculous is you take it and you see those little holes right there in the back and how it's like made like this on the bottom here. You just set it in there. It doesn't tab in, doesn't stay in securely. It just sits in there. Really? They couldn't have found a way to maybe engineer the tail in somehow or do something? Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, what? What the fuck is this? Like, really? This is ridiculous. Now, I only got this figure, even though I knew he was going to be stupid, I only got him so that way I could be another step closer to completing my Dark of the Moon lineup, because I was missing him. I'm still missing Crowbar. I don't have Crowbar. I have Crankcase, but I don't have Crowbar, so I don't have all the dreads yet. And Q is being released this year, so I'll pretty much have completed my Dark of the Moon lineup. So I got him as a completionist piece, but unfortunately he does, suck. Like, this piece just falls all over the place. It's ridiculous. I don't even know why they made it a weapon or an accessory at all. Maybe they could have packed in maybe Dino's whips, and that would have been a little bit more better. Because guess what else you can do with it? You see these little parts on his hand here? You can put them, or at least this, in his hand for some reason. If I can get it in there. Now, what good does that do? Like, what is the point? So, if I were to just go like this, and maybe put him in a more stand-up pose, I guess. Like, really? What is this? This is just strange. I don't know what the hell they were thinking over at Hasbro when they were designing this, and were like, oh, we need to give them some sort of accessory. Well, let's just do this. This is fucking stupid. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Ugh. Yeah, that is dumb. But yeah, that's pretty much the only accessory he does come with. Not really a character that really needs accessories to hold, because he is just kind of like a dog. But they gave him that. If you wanted to use that, you can use that. Even though I think it's completely and utterly stupid. I don't know why they did that. They could have just engineered a tail in there somehow. Have it like fold in and then fold out. Like, I mean, they already like engineered this entire body. It's not like they couldn't just do something a little bit extra. But of course, they had to do something absolutely stupid. But that is pretty much his only accessory. Now, does he articulate well? Yeah. As for articulation, I went ahead and took the tail off because it was just going to fall off the whole time. But he does have some swivel at the head, opening and jaw action. These dreads kind of move a little bit. They hinge in and out. He has ball jointed arms here, a swivel there, single jointed elbow that goes pretty deep, which is pretty nice. He has some, I guess, wrist articulation, if you want to call it that. He has ball jointed hips. They kick up pretty far and back a decent bit. He does have a ball jointed, is it ball jointed? Yeah, ball jointed knee and a hinge down here. Nothing too crazy as far as articulation, but he's pretty much like a dog, like an animal, so it pretty much works out for the most part of what you really need it to do. So how does he work in terms of scale? So as far as scale goes, here is Hatchet, and we'll pretty much put him next to the other characters that he appear with on scene. So here he is next to Dino there. Looks pretty fair. I think that was the scale in the movie. And then here he is next to Sideswipe. Here, Sideswipe does not like standing, actually. There we go. Here he is next to Sideswipe from Dark of the Moon. And then here he is next to Bumblebee from Dark of the Moon. And, you know, both Bumblebee and Sideswipe have, like... Because it's kind of embarrassing, I used to do battle damage as, like, just like using a lighter and putting a flame to them. Not a good decision. Would not recommend it. So, both these guys and as well as some other Transformers, you know, figures that I've done that ridiculous stunt to, we'll be getting new paint jobs, and we'll also be trying to fix the figures up to basically revamp them and make them more like how I do customs now. They won't be 100% healed because of obvious fire damage, but maybe it'll breathe some character into them, because they are. I did most of it to the Dark of the Moon figures, but I only did it to a select handful of them, so not all of them have that, you know, kind of goofiness to them. But I'm planning on redoing a lot of my Transformers figures when I do anniversaries for the movies, because then I want to go through all the different Studio Series figures that correspond with those movies and show them off in a, you know, fully customized version. I've already done Optimus Prime, because he's going to be the main one that I will probably most likely be starting with. He's already done. I'm not going to show him off in this video because I want to save him for down the road, and I want to make sure he's perfect. But as far as the last kind of comparison here, this is another one that needs a pretty bad redo, and that of course is my technically the Last Night Berserker, but I mean, it's Crankcase, come on. But yeah, so I have Crankcase there. Yeah, he needs a redo super bad, which will be coming up very soon, hopefully. So yeah, that's pretty much the scale. I know at the beginning of this video I said I didn't have Crowbar. I have Crowbar on the way now, so I will have all the dreads, and everything will be pretty much complete for Dark of the Moon. Just gotta wait for Q to release, and then that's it. So, with scale out of the way, it's time to get him transformed up. So, starting with the transformation here, make sure the jaw is closed. Then, next we're going to do is, well, the tail's going to fall off, so just leave that there. Fold the hands up. Well, make sure these panels are flipped out. Then fold the hands up like so. Then what we're going to do, what was that? Oh, yeah. Forgot to mention these panels do fall off. Open the back up, accordion all this out like so. Then we'll just kind of move that upward to get it out of the way. And then next we're going to do is kind of hinge out these legs like so. And like that. Swivel it at the knee, right there. And then what we're going to do is fold this butt flap out like that. Then you should pretty much have something that looks like that. Now what we're going to do is move over here, move this arm up, swivel it like so. Then this piece we'll put on after, so just move this arm up, so swivel it like that. Then we will put the panel back on, and we'll just kind of tab right on in like so. These things fall off quite a bit. It's a little bit annoying, but that is pretty much how you get that there. And then now we will just place this whole assembly down like so, and there will be tab sections right there that these parts will just lock into, and then tab those kind of door sections in like that. And so you should have that much of the car done. Now bring down this piece right here, and then we will bring up the leg, and it will just go in here. There'll be a tab right there, go in a slot right there, and then just put that in. Make sure that's in there like that. Should be a little snap. Then this part will tab into the thigh, and then tab it into right there. And then same for the other side, just kind of bring it on in, then tab that in, and then swing this around, and it will just all tab together pretty smoothly. Then for the last and final piece, hinge that up and tab it right on in. And there you pretty much have him in his vehicle mode. And there he is, all transformed up and in his suburban SUV. Now we will go over the vehicle details, but pretty much if you have the crowbar or the berserker slash crankcase mold, you pretty much know what kind of vehicle you're getting into. Maybe it's just some slightly different variation in transformation, which is kind of surprising that they can get this much out of just a singular vehicle mode, because this is actually kind of crazy. 3 different characters, 3 somewhat different transformations for some parts, but they all turn to the same vehicle, and I'm pretty sure they're the same size. We'll see here in the comparison, but as for details, you got the same red and blue and gold and white bits as the other 2 figures that use this mold. Technically 4 if you want to count that really weird one that they did, which was just which was just the crowbar mold, but they named it crankcase, which is just strange. So all around pretty much the same thing, although this part right here is like a different type of black, and this hinge is like a different color. I don't know if that's like that on the other berserker, but I will transform that one up and we'll take a look. All around, it's a nice little vehicle mode, and I do actually quite like this vehicle mode. It's pretty cool. He also does have weapon storage. I will kind of slightly mistransform him to show off that weapon storage. It's pretty neat weapon storage. I'm glad that they ended up doing it. And it hides pretty well. Although there is a version of it that I like to do a little bit better. So you see these 2 tabs right here and here. There's tabs on the tail section on both sides. So you're just going to want to tab it on in. Right in there. Make sure it's as in as possible. And there you go. Just tab those on in. And then just put it in between the toes there. And then close the leg back up, if it wants to. There we go. And then we'll just transform them back up. And then you should have his vehicle mode, weapon storage, or tail storage, which works out pretty well, and it doesn't look too bad. You do have this part sticking out the back, but usually what I would do is I would just kind of take it off those and just seep it in further, and it would be fine. But that is the official way, and that is how you can store it, and it's not terrible. But yeah, not a bad looking figure, and he does still roll pretty well, even with the tail storage. So, aside from basically just having the same transformation and somewhat the same car, how well does he scale with some of the other vehicles? Now, onto the vehicle mode comparison. So here we have Hatchet there, and I guess I'll pretty much go in order. There's Hatchet next to Dino there, and I'd say maybe this is pretty fair in terms of comparison between these 2 kinds of cars. So there he is next to Dino, and of course we'll bring in Bumblebee too as well. See how they look next to each other. I'd say pretty fair, all things considered. And of course, here's side swipe. So you got pretty much the highway chase scene participants, I guess I'll say, in that kind of highway chase scene. That's pretty much how they all look together. And then for the last final one, here of course is Berserker, or technically Crankcase. And as you can see there, pretty much two of the same vehicle modes. They're pretty much the same exact size for the most part. There is some differences between them, like how Berserker here has a Decepticon logo, while Hatchet doesn't. And look at the sides here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, why they did that. But on the, I'm just gonna call it Crankcase, but on the Crankcase here, it's completely fine. It's all the same color throughout, except for that hinge. And that's it. If this hinge color was this hinge color, it'd probably be a lot more perfect. But I don't know why they decided to do that. That's just a bit strange. But all around, pretty much the same paint apps, same vehicle mode and everything. And they look really nice together. But since that is pretty much it for the review here, let's move on to some final thoughts on this Studio Series Hatchet. So, final thoughts. It's going to be a little bit untraditional this time around for this figure, only because, honestly, I cannot get him in any poses. You can't really pose him in much of any way, or even with certain other characters. I've tried, trust me, I've tried. I will show a few, though, at the, kind of end talk here, but just right off the bat, this figure was kind of unreleased in a sense, which, basically was, it was revealed and shown and everything like that, and there was product images and everything, and it was originally for the Buzzworthy Bumblebee line, which, if you guys don't know, that line kind of crashed and failed miserably, which is pretty much fine by me, because that line was just never really that great. It had some great figures, but it was never really that great. Especially when they released Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime in that subline. Yeah, big mistake on that part. But yeah, I mean, this figure, it's a little bit of a disappointment. So, would I say it's really worth it, waiting the amount of wait that it has been for this to release? No, not really. But if you're trying to complete the dreads, then yeah, it might be. Like how it was for me. I was just waiting for it so I can complete the dreads. And at least have a movie-accurate Hatchet figure. And now I do have one, so I'm fine with that. Positives about it, it looks pretty much like the movie, for the most part. Colors are right, there's nothing wacky. And he is a team completer. But there are a lot of negatives. I guess another positive is I really do like the, this mold for these guys, so I guess that's a positive. But as for the negatives go, for one, cannot really put him in any poses. The head articulation, there's not enough there to really give more posing. While there is a lot of joints on him, you still can't really get him in much of any poses. Maybe some lunging, some crawling. That's about it. But I can't really do anything too crazy with him. Another negative is this tail. Well, now I got it stuck in there, but it just, falls off. And it should never have been an accessory. It should have just been a part of the body. And then maybe they give him something else. Maybe Dino's whips or something like that. Because this is just sad and pathetic. And the fact that they put a handle on it so that way you can put it on his hands. What good does that do? Because then he'll be, standing straight up like that. His head will be sticking up. It's strange. It's just really strange. I think that's just a really bad thing. Another really glooming negative. These side pieces right here on his arms, they just fall off too easy. They just come right off way too easy. And those are a pain in the ass, especially when you're trying to transform him. It's just a huge pain, and it just really huge annoyance. And of course, as far as the vehicle mode goes, I love the vehicle mode. It's a good vehicle mode. But there are just a lot of negatives with this figure, unfortunately. But I still think he's just cool, to fill in the team. He's not the coolest one out of the three, but he's not exactly a good figure, but he's also not the worst. Looking at you, Pablo, horrible to transform. But yeah, so pretty much on to the final closing statement. With that being said, overall, I'm still happy to have the figure in the collection and to complete the team. But I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure to follow my socials, my Insta, and my TikTok for more action figure related posts and whatnot. And I will catch you guys on the next video that I do, which will probably mostly be Marvel. I have a couple customs that I want to get done or already have done. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next